Hello guys, Skypoint here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Ultramarines since the Balance Pass. However, first I just want to thank all of you because I have now reached 1,000 subscribers and the right number of viewing hours to become part of YouTube's Partners program. Yes, that means you're going to be seeing ads on my channel, but it also means that my wife is really happy now with the amount of time and effort I'm spending on YouTube, and so I'll definitely be able to keep making content for you to watch. So once again, thanks to all of you. Now today we're here to take a look at the Ultramarines and how I've been playing them since the Balance Pass. So as you can probably tell, we're going to be talking about Aeonid Thiel. So Thiel is one of the 3 Ultramarines Warlords who's currently in the game, and he is actually my favorite. Let's talk through them in order. I actually have not played Marius Gage since the event. I own him, I've never built a deck for him or tried him on the ladder. It's just because I personally feel his playstyle is a little too slow. I've got lodge mates who think he's the best of the Ultramarines Warlords, but I don't feel it when I'm playing him. Next up is Roboute Guilliman. So this is the guy who I really wanted to work for a long time, and he almost does. It's just that, again, he doesn't quite do it. Yeah, you can do 2 damage to an enemy troop, or you can create a practical, but I just found I ended up with too many practicals in hand, and I don't know, it just didn't quite work for me. Even before the patch, I liked Aeonid Thiel the most, because he was spending 1 energy before the patch to create a theoretical card, and it was he was spending 2 energy before, but it was discounted by 1. So unlike Roboute Guilliman, who'd often end up with a bunch of practicals in hand, for Aeonid it was very easy to actually use the cards you created. And ever since the Balance Pass, it's become even easier, because now his energy ability is only 1 energy, which often means you can use it and play the resulting card very easily in the same turn. Okay, so we talked about who my Warlord is. Let's take a look at the deck and what went in there. So you can see it's a reasonably balanced deck. It's very slightly heavy on tactics. One of the big reasons for that is I ended up having to put a couple more healing tactics in than I would originally want. Because Thiel only has 30 health, he is squishy, so this deck has a fair focus on healing. Let's go through and take a look at it all. First up, the Ultramarines actually don't have too much very hard removal. They've got a couple of cards which can do a lot of damage, but it's not a guaranteed removal. So the next best thing to being able to remove a dangerous enemy unit is to try to minimize its danger instead. So I've got both sabotages in here. Next up, Ambassador Melgator. Again, he's there for hard removal of tougher enemies. We have a Helixis squad, and these guys are really good because they're very flexible, right? Depending on what you need, you can use their ability in a different way, and you'll see that a few times in the matches ahead. Next up, a couple of tactics. Opening salvo, a pair of them in fact. Again, this is now a practical, so it's not one which Aeonid Thiel creates himself, and this is there for area damage. There are a lot of times when there's units left on the board in stealth with only 2 health, and opening salvo, well, assuming the unit started with 2 health, opening salvo can help to deal with that. We have a pair of Bellaria squads. Again, they are mostly there to damage enemy troops, especially stealthed ones. So a good move is often if there's an enemy troop in stealth who has between 3 and 4 health, you can start with opening salvo and then drop Bellaria squad to actually try to kill them off. Adaptable tactics. This is a practical which does a whopping heal 4 to your Warlord. So I've got a pair of them in here, so that's 8 points of healing for my Warlord, which are in the deck already. Censured Squad is there to create random practicals. Hopefully that ends up being adaptable tactics. We have a pair of those. We have Ekra Trez, so he's up to 9 points of healing. Realistically, he usually gets 3 points off before he dies. So add to the 8 points from the adaptable tactics, and so far my deck has 11 points of healing in it. An Ingenious Command Squad, which also does healing, so assuming they live for 1 turn, that's 8 plus 3 is 11 plus 2, 13 points of healing. Area damage, more of it, artillery strike, pair of those. Trajan Squad is there for removal of tough enemies. Captain Alcaeus is there mostly for his stats actually. He's got really great stats for 4 energy, but sometimes his his own energy ability can become useful. Honor Guards, because you need front lines when you only have 30 health. An Honor Guard is great because often they can, with their Courage ability, they go up to 6 health, which is enough to avoid being removed by a single breach. Miatus Cruiser, again getting close to hard removal and actually also jamming the enemy and enemy troops is very handy. Captain Corvo, absolutely brilliant guy. He's so flexible when you put him in play that if you need healing or if you need damage or even just buffing for a troop, he can do it all. And so he has 4 points of healing to add to the 13 I've already talked about, and that brings me up to 17 points of healing in the deck. So Aeonid Thiel on 30 health, I've potentially got enough healing to have him up to 57. Alright, we have a pair of Kletos Command Squads. Now this was new, I never even tried these guys before the patch, but I like their rally and courage abilities now, so I put both of those in there. McCragg's Honor, oh I forgot, that's more healing, right? I only ever tend to use it for damage, but I can see it being used potentially for healing, so that's another 7 points on top of the 57 I talked about. That's 64 points of healing in the deck. A pair of Invictus Terminators, these guys I like for their broad general damage. And lastly, a single Ancient Marcellus Dreadnought. So this was a great unit before, it's even better after the balance change. Okay, you'll notice I have a lot of legendaries in here, I think 5 legendaries. Let's talk through them. As always, if you don't have Ambassador Melgator, I'd usually put in a Seek and Destroy because that can sort of do a bit of removal. That's a Chaos 2 energy card, which does 3 points of damage. Ekra Trez. He costs 3 energy. Usually he'll get 1 heal off before he dies, so you can easily substitute him with Mechanicum's Pi Alpha 53, which is a 3 health mechanical, 3 energy Mechanicum unit, 2 attack, 2 health, and heals your Warlord. Well, heals a unit for 3. So you can substitute Ekra Trez with those guys. Captain Alcaeus, well, as I said, I mostly use him for the stats as opposed to his energy ability. If you don't have him, you can probably just put in a second Ingenious Command Squad. In fact, I used to have 2 of these guys. It's only when Alcaeus was in the store today that I took out one of my Ingenious Command Squads and replaced it with Alcaeus. Captain Corvo, and he's actually the hardest 6 energy unit in this deck to replace, and wow, that's a tough one because there's no other unit in the game which allows you to choose so much between dealing damage, healing, or buffing. If you don't have Captain Corvo, let's take a look. Is there anything great within the Ultramarines range you could put in? It's kind of tough. Maybe a Captain Mysander could do. I mean, he's got good stats, he buffs, and if you trigger his courage, he can be really handy. So maybe he's a good one to put in instead. Perhaps a Petronius support squad. I don't know. I mean, they are of distant shadow compared to Captain Corvo. Alright, and lastly for McCragg's Honor. Surprisingly, this is easy to substitute. If you don't have McCragg's Honor, put in another Ancient Marcellus instead. Alright, so that's the deck, and now what we're going to do is see a bunch of matches with this deck in action. Now, one thing to bear in mind, yes, I am on Mars, so what I will say is what I've proven is Aeonid Thiel works well on Mars. I think that he can work at the very least on low Terra now, maybe all the way through. I enjoy playing Thiel. I do plan to play a lot more of him in the month, so we're going to see him in play as I get higher and higher on the ladder. Alright, enough of that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first fight. Alright, so this first fight is against Artillus Numion. Now, I did start with too many expensive cards. I wanted to keep an artillery strike in case I face stuff with Survivor or a board full of stuff with Survivor. So, the rest were too expensive for now, so I put them away. Okay, this is quite a lot better. So let's go ahead now. I'm not going to play opening salvo. I'm just going to hit him with my ability and draw a tactic. So he goes ahead and plays Roshan Squad as I expected.
Welcome you.
And now this is why I liked having opening salvo here, because what I can do is drop opening salvo, which does damage, and then use Thiel's ability to kill those guys. So that's over.
Let's get started.
Alright, so he comes out with another Roshan Squad. Fantastic. And he gives them Survivor. But now I'm entering my 4 energy turn. So what I can do now is actually drop Ekra and just hit them with my ability. I know I'm going to take the damage from the hit now, but I'm expecting he'll drop something else next turn. And I'll be able to use the artillery strike to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's see how this works out. Oh yeah, look at that guy. Alright. So actually what I'm going to do here, since my courage can enter play, is use those guys and buff my entire board and try to take out this Roshan Squad. I'm taking a bit of a gamble, but what I'm hoping is that he puts out juicy targets for my artillery strike. Okay, so that's his Stormbird already gone in the match, and it went on killing a unit as opposed to its stunning ability. He heals his Warlord, and he gives... oh no, he drops a Pharaon's Militia, and he gives it Survivor. That's a mistake. I would have given Survivor to Ekra. Well, let's punish him. So draw a card by using Aeonid Thiel's ability on Pharaon's Militia, and then drop an artillery strike. I could hit him with the defensible position, but I'm going to heal myself a little first. 2 points behind him on health, but he has Survivor 5, so I'm actually more like 7 points behind him. Okay, a tough front line unit, and he goes ahead and hits my buffed Ekra. Great. Okay, I actually get rid of Ekra because what I want to do is get Kletos Command Squad in play with the Courage ability, which gives it front line. Conveniently, he created a great theoretical which I could use to kill the enemy unit. I was going to headbutt him with my Warlord, but I don't need to do that anymore. He draws Abandoned Supplies to pull out a discounted unit, and oh god, look at that guy. Fortunately, I got Miata's Cruiser, so I can just jam him and then damage him, which kills him instantly. Use my ability to draw a card. It's a card draw ability. Well, to create a card, and then I drew cards with it, whatever. Okay, so I actually am running close to a full hand. I've got 8 cards in hand, and I'm going to draw one next turn. It says Ashen Bones goes on killing my front line. What's he dropping next? Okay, Abandoned Supplies. And he pulls out a tough front line unit, and he gives it Survivor. Okay, now watch this. I use my Warlord to go and hit his unit, cutting it to 2 health. I then drop Ancient Marcellus with his Courage triggered, which means he deals damage twice, which blasts through the enemy unit Survivor and kills it.
The mightiest.
Okay, here comes another tough guy. And a Storm Eagle to stun me. That's his second and last Storm Eagle, so his stunning should hopefully be over now. So what I'm going to do is bring in Ambassador Melgator to send his guy back to his hand. That's 1. Next, bring in Captain Alcaeus. And next, a Censured Squad. And lastly, to make sure no more funny shenanigans happen with Survivor, I stun the enemy Warlord. So now I've got full board control. He bounces 1 die back to my hand. And he plays a frontliner. Okay. Oh, and he plays those dudes again. Great. Alright, so opening salvo to do a ton of damage across the board. That's step 1. Step 2, attack with my Warlord to clear the front line. Step 3, heal my Warlord of the damage he just took. Step 4, trigger Survivor. Step 5, give Captain Alkea sneak attack, which he can use to kill the enemy unit. And step 6, blast the enemy Warlord. So that was his big push for board control, and it didn't pan out. Just the various tactics and abilities of the Ultramarines just held it out long enough. So he gives Melgator Survivor and tries to attack my little Dreadnought. Hard to get courage abilities to trigger now, but let's just create some extra cards in my hand for now. So I have the options. Blast the enemy Warlord again, drop a Censured Squad, and hit the enemy Warlord. Oh yeah, that's it. Pharaoh's Militia, and this is going to be over.
Practical in your
and he
actions.
knows it, so
Well struck.
he just gives up the match at this point. Alright, so that was the first win with Aeonid Thiel that I wanted to share with you. This second match was interesting. It's against an Alpha Legion Warlord. We'll see who it is in a moment. Again, I had decided that I didn't want to start with any 6 energy units. 3 and 4 is okay, so let's go ahead and accept that. Okay, an 8 energy unit. Great, I should have started with 6. Oh, fantastic, and a 9 energy unit. So against Alpha Legion, my goal is going to be to keep my hand size as small as possible. So I'm going to make my Warlord frontline just so I'm not carrying that card in my hand. Okay, next turn I can't do anything except drop Censured Squad. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. I'm hoping to use it just to attack the enemy Warlord so I don't create practicals in my hand. As I said, my goal is to not hold cards because of the harrowing. Okay, here we go. This is working out. Let me drop Captain Alkeas in the middle. I'm doing that because he's got 5 health. So if the Alpha Legion guy drops their Thunderhawk gunship, the one which does 4 damage and stunts, Captain Alkeas would survive that. Okay, over to his turn. So his turn's over, it comes to me. I'm dropping Honor Guard for front line and taking out his infantry. Okay, sorry, his Space Marine guy. Okay, this is ticking on nicely. I'm not building up too many cards in my hand, so I'm happy with that. There's some stunning action going on. Alright, so let's use Melgator now to bounce that guy into his hand. That's done. Next, bring in a Trajan squad, and lastly use Captain Alkeas to finish off the enemy troop and attack him. So I'm feeling really good. It's his turn 7. I only have 3 cards in hand. Cultist and Ghost Legionnaire. Okay, and he's loading up my deck with traps. So that's the other thing I want to avoid, is drawing too many cards. Okay, there's Ekra Trez. Neat. So let's put Ekra Trez in play. Ooh, excellent. I can use Logos Lactera, which I got from using my Aeonid Thiel's ability on Ghost Legionnaire to buff all my units who are on the board already. And go ahead and hit the enemy Warlord pretty hard. The fact that he hasn't transformed up to this point points very strongly to him being Exodus, by the way. It's usually a big hint. If the enemy Warlord has not transformed in late game, he's Exodus. He's waiting to transform when he can do a kill shot. Ugh, 2 sabotages. Okay, well, let's go ahead and just weaken his guy, kill his guy, And let's may as well just bring in the Invictus Terminators now. Without being outnumbered, I couldn't use the courage ability, and oh my god, it's Autalon score. Great. Secret identity, and yep, there we are, it's Exodus, and he's getting ready to make a kill shot soon. Alright, so here's a neat little trick. First, jam my guy to get rid of stun. He still can't kill Autalon score, but with a little help from Helix's squad, he can do that, and with Logos Lectora, he can kill and even survive. Now, I made one big mistake now. I decided if I got rid of the stun with Jam on Ekra as well, then I can just heal myself with my remaining energy, but I forgot. Jamming him stops him from healing, so that was a huge waste. And yeah, I sort of really regretted that now, because jamming that sleeper operative would have been incredibly useful. So he uses up his Exodus shot trying to kill my most dangerous thing on the board. Alright. Next up, it's time for Captain Corvo to shine. 3 points of damage to the enemy, which lowers its health enough that I can attack it with both my units. There we are. And board control achieved, although I do have a sleeper operative damaging me every time I draw a card. Okay, he gives maintenance now to Captain Corvo, and he drops a Ghost Legionary. Back over to my turn. So with maintenance, I only have 9 energy left. That's fine. So here's what I'm going to do. Bring in Ancient Marcellus and zap the enemy Warlord. That's going to mean that he probably will spend his Exodus shot killing my Dreadnought instead of killing me, which buys me more time. In fact, if he tries to kill my Dreadnought, he can't do anything else. Oh, is that a mistake by him? Yes. I don't know why he was desperate to give me one more unit, but that's about to cost him the match. He would have survived one more turn if he didn't do this. He was desperate to drop that sleeper operative. And Exodus is dead. Match 3 is interesting. It's against a pretty uncommon warlord, Kapito Nev. So, over here what I'm just going to do is put away the Miatis Cruiser. I don't need 2 5 energy cards. And I'll try and save the cruiser for when more dangerous late game units come, which I might want to jam. High initiative, so I go first. I just create myself a theoretical off the enemy warlord. He retaliates by dropping a what are these guys? Numa squad, who has 2 health and but are in stealth. Fortunately, I have Belarius squad. Put them down, Numa squad dies instantly. That worked out nicely. So he brings in one of his 2 speeder bikes, and I don't have a counter for that. So I have no choice at this point other than I have to headbutt that thing. I don't want to bounce it with Melgator because it'll just come back at a worse time for me. So do that and drop Censured Squads. I'm now 8 points of health behind him. So he goes ahead, he clears my board. Again, I still have nothing to do over here. So what I'm just going to do is drop my little Protector Frontline guy and accept 3 more points of damage. This was expected. I'm not surprised he had the speeder waiting for an opportunity like this, but that took up his whole turn. So next, with now being 8 points of health behind him, I do have an Ingenious Command Squad, which I'm going to put on the board now. Attack him and draw a card. I'm going to sit on that Suppression Fire as well. Oh, that's a bad combo to face. He's got Kalen squad with Shadow Walks. They'll now be stealth for the rest of the game, and I don't have anything explicitly anti-stealth in this deck. So here's what I'm going to do. Drop Captain Corvo, give myself healing, because I'm going to take a lot of sentencing damage next, I think. Spend my remaining energy just healing myself back up. So now I'm only 1 point of health behind him. Unsurprisingly, he's trying to go after my healer. Fury from above. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Sabotage. Let's hit him. Oh, excellent. Chain of command allows me to either give my Warlord front line or bring a friendly troop back to my hand. So let's bring Captain Corvo back to my hand so he can heal me again in future, or even just heal me again. Well, okay, damage the enemy right now. So Captain Corvo did a hit there. So he's focusing hard on trying to take Captain Corvo down. Uses everything he's got, all of his energy this turn, finishing him off. But now he's set into my trap because he outnumbers me, so courage works. So Ancient Marcellus hits the board and does 3 + 4 points of damage. Even if he kills... Oh, and then I attack him directly. So now even if he kills Marcellus, I can use the Miata's Cruiser to just hit the enemy Warlord and win. Or I've got some other options too. We'll see that in a second. Yep, so he's really trying to take down that Dreadnought, which he has to, otherwise the Dreadnought would kill him next turn. So this is absolutely the right move to make. Unfortunately for him, it's not going to save him. Because, well, I'm outnumbered, so I could use Courage. So Invictus Terminators deals 2 points of damage to everyone, including the enemy Warlord. And then lastly, I could just headbutt him or even use Suppression Fire to kill him off. Win number 4 is against another Warlord who's relatively uncommon on Terra, but very common on Mars. It's Foryx. This is not a terrible set of starting cards. I probably would normally change out Invictus Terminators. I've been having really good results with Captain Corvo, so I'm keeping him in for now. Usually Iron Warriors don't do a very threatening early game, so I was feeling a bit more lax here. So I attack him and create a theoretical interlocking tactics. Alright, next I'm going to drop a Censured Squad and start weakening that bunker, just to make sure he doesn't build up a huge number of bunkers. So he's going ahead, he weakens my Censured Squad and he hits it with Precision Bombardment, which has the benefit of drawing a card for him. So there's basically 3 energy to deal damage and draw a card, which is excellent. Alright, so 4 energy turn. This time I use Aeonid Thiel's ability just so I don't take that 1 point of damage. Okay, he's spending superior firepower to wipe out my guy. And he brings in another barricade as we enter the 5 energy turn. Don't really have troops for this one, so I'm going to headbutt him. Then drop Helexus Squad and use their ability to finish off that barrier. And then use interlocking tactics to get myself a couple more cards. And that's it. Okay, there's a tough frontliner, siege guy. So Turbulent Squad is actually one of my favorite Iron Warriors. Like, if you manage to trigger its siege ability, it could be game changing. So let's not give him a chance to do that. We're gonna do direct damage to Captain Corvo and attack with Aeonid Thiel. So now I'm still 4 points of health behind the enemy. Alright, next up comes the Raging guy. So that's a good move. He gives him Escape Vent, which means there's not much I can do against him now. There's probably a Harsh Discipline coming on him next turn as well, so this will be a bit brutal. Let's give myself front line to try and prepare for that. And I'm going to use Chain of Command to bring Captain Corvo back, just in case I need him to finish off a damaged enemy. There we go. There's the point of damage on him. He gives Rack and Ruin to severely damage my front line. Attacks with the Warlord to clear it. And now comes the punishment. Harsh Discipline on the Tyranthikos veterans. They go up to 7 damage and hit me. And then they go up to 9 damage and they hit me again. So now I am 15 points of health behind the enemy suddenly. Alright, we're bringing in Captain Corvo to start closing that gap on health. So I'm only 11 points of health behind him. Draw a card. I'm not going to bounce Captain Corvo back yet. I'd like to attack with him one more time and then bounce him. See if that works. So he brings in a frontline troop, and he brings in another guy. And he hits Captain Corvo. So, what I'm going to do here is attack with Captain Corvo. So I've got 9 energy left. I'm going to use Chain of Command to bounce him back into my hands so I can use him later. And in the meantime, now that I no longer am outnumbered, now that I no longer am not outnumbered, I can drop Invictus Terminator and their Courage ability triggered, and they did area damage. He comes in and drops more frontline units and barricades and more Taranthakos veterans. I am completely outnumbered, which is great because now Ancient Marcellus can enter and wipe out those veterans before they do anything. And I can start weakening his barricades and drawing myself more tactics off of them. So he throws out more barricades and starts dropping more units and healing himself. I'm still 11 points behind him on health. But I do have loads of cards in hand. Okay, let's see what I can do with that. Honor Guard with Frontline first. Adaptable Tactics to heal my Warlord some more, so now I'm only 7 points of health behind him. Logos Vectora to buff all my troops on the board to pretty nasty levels. Let's go ahead and clear out some of his stuff. He's pulling abandoned supplies, and so with that, he is getting a unit for cheap. He's trying to clear out my front line. Ooh, look at that. If any of my units which attack will take 3 points of damage from Iron Havoc Squad. So let's not attack. Let's use my ability from the Dreadnought to wipe them out and then attack. And here's Captain Corvo with some more healing. 20 points of health. I forgot to use Aeonid Thiel to actually attack the enemy Warlord with my ability over there, but whatever. I am now ahead of him on health and he gives up. Struggling with force control. Alright, and there's one more match I wanted to share with you. I actually lost it, but I just felt it was a really epic match, and it really shows Aeonid Thiel's strengths pretty well. It was a very close defeat. Let's go ahead and take a look. This is Aeonid Thiel against Roboute Guilliman. So I am starting off by trying to get cheap units. So Trajan Squad is good. I'm hoping for 2s and 3s. Okay, I got 2s. 3s, that's good. Let's go.
Good to see
Use my ability on Guilliman to draw myself a card. It's defensible positions, which I will just drop right now so that he does not create a practical in turn 1. Goes over to him. He's stunned for his first turn already, so he passes. It comes back to me, and I just drop Censured Squad. Alright, back to hit. Supply line, so he's doing something tricky with vehicles, so I need to brace myself for that, I guess. Not much to do here, so I'm going to use my ability on him. I will just use Chain of Command to bounce him back to my hand and be able to use him again later. Otherwise, next turn for 2 energy, he could have killed him. And that's a good idea. I did that because it stopped these guys' courage from triggering.
Wish for danger.
Alright, we're going to use Opening Salvo over here to weaken the enemy. And then we're going to drop a Bellaria squad to finish them off. So I've taken no damage, Guilliman has taken 5 damage. Okay, he sort of returns the favor. I think he's doing the exact same move to me as I did to him. Opening Salvo. Nope, he's bringing Jew back in and using his Warlord. So I don't want to leave that Jew back alive collecting my cards for ages. So what I'm going to do here is bring in a... Well, let's create a card over there and bring in a Trajan squad. Attack Jew back to kill it. And with my 1 remaining energy, bring that Trajan squad back into my hand. So he's not hanging out there to trigger courage abilities for my enemy. 3-point health gap between us. Okay, he spends his turn just hitting me with the strike cruiser. He's just trying to burn me down. Yeah, look at that. Wow. So what I'm going to do here is bring in Ingenious Command Squad and Adaptable Tactics to heal myself up. 25 health, so still 4 points of health behind him now. He drops a Bellaria squad, which does 2 points of damage, and then he can use Guilliman's ability to do 2 points of damage and finish it off. Unfortunate, but far from unexpected. Okay, next, Cletus Command Squad. Creates a defensible position, which can be used to stun the enemy unit, which I can then hit with Aeonid Thiel's ability to create a theoretical card. And next turn, I should be able to use an artillery strike to finish them off, as well as whatever's being dropped. Okay, let's see this. Watch. Yeah, I think this will work. Couple ways I could finish this, but what I'm going to do is use an artillery strike. 2 damage to everyone. Next, use Aeonid Thiel's ability to do 1 damage and create a theoretical. And lastly, use suppression fire to do more damage.
Ceasefire!
I am going to drop these guys, and I'm not using Logos Lectora yet. I want to either use it when I've got lots of troops on the board, or when I really need to draw a troop. Rain of Fire. Lots of damage from that. He finishes off my frontline troop, and that's it. Kinda hard to do much over here, but what I'll be doing is dropping my 2 Trajan squads, so 1, 2, and I'm gonna use Logos Lectora right now, or Logos Lectora, and now I can attack, and I've got a really tough looking board set up here. Oh, and he looks like he's got a solid plan for dealing with my tough board. Yep, there we are. Okay, I don't quite have enough damage to kill him without taking a lot of damage on my Warlords. I'm going to cut him down to 1 health, which draws me a card. Use Interlocking Tactics to get another card. That's great. I can now stun that Invictus Terminator squad and bring in these guys here. And lastly, use Adaptable Tactics to heal myself up some more. Okay, so I'm actually in the lead on health over this guy. He's continuing to play supply lines. He really wants those discount vehicles. And there is Goldstone. So obviously, well, I'll show you what those discount vehicles he's pulling is. It's actually a very clever move in his deck. Okay, perfect. So, attack the enemy Warlord, which gives me Logos Lectora, which I can use to draw a discounted Space Marine, which is Captain Alcaeus, which is great. Elixir Squad finishes off those guys. Captain Alcaeus goes into play right now.
It was a calculated risk.
I'm not doing much else right at the moment. So much for Captain Alcaeus. That was his little dreadnought coming into the party. And he clears my board, and he has the dreadnought in play. Ah, I do have my own one here. So what I'm going to do first is use the Miatis Strike Cruiser to get rid of the ability on the enemy dreadnought. Draw a card off of it and do a little bit of damage to it. Okay, that's not bad. I still will take 7 points of damage from the dreadnought, but hopefully it'll die while trying to do that to me. Oh my god. The Land Raider. This one is actually a great unit, the Ardentian tank. It has its front line and it creates units with flank for free. So let's stop it creating those free units and bring in my own dreadnought to do a ton of damage to it. Honestly, because that enemy unit still does 6 attack, it's quite likely my dreadnought will die this turn, but it's going to take the enemy, my enemy's entire effort to wipe it out. Oh god, an apothecary. I was saving my Miatis cruiser for a killing blow, but I think that apothecary is going to mess up my plans way too much. So let's first drop in Kletos command over here. Ooh, I get suppression fire from it. Nice. Let's bring in Melgator and bounce those apothecaries back. And lastly, use my ability on the enemy Warlord to create some more cards. Perfect. Interlocking tactics is what I need to cure my lack of cards. He hits me up with an artillery strike to start damaging my units.
Never wish for danger.
What's he doing here?
Danger needs no help.
Continue to damage it. It feels like he's got an artillery strike of his own. Nope, it's a retribution strike. So he's finishing off my front line unit and taking advantage of that to draw a card for himself. I would have liked to play Invictus Terminators when they could kill things with their ability, but I just need bodies on the board right now. Okay, because with all those bodies, I can draw plenty of cards with that tactic. Okay, there's his own frontline unit with Courage being triggered and creating a theoretical, which he probably uses to stun me. Nice. Okay, I think that should be alright still, because what I can do is bring in Opening Salvo to do 2 points of damage. Next, drop Captain Corvo to do 3 points of damage. And lastly, use Suppression Fire to do 2 points. I should have used Thiel's ability, but whatever. I can use Thiel's ability now on the enemy Warlord and use that to create a card. Okay, 7 points behind him, but I've got board presence. So much for board presence. He's got that thing going on. Okay, he's got me down to 9 health. Okay, that's good. I've got an honor guard in hand. So in order to make sure I can use it, attack with my one guy. So now I'm outnumbered, so honor guard triggers. And lastly, I can drop the Miatis cruiser and take out that last enemy. That's gone now. I'm still 7 points of health behind him though. Belaria's squad comes out, does 2 points of damage to me. Goldstone comes out and he hits my front line. He didn't have to, but it just shows he's really trying to focus on making sure I don't have board control anymore. Alright, over to my turn. Okay, I do have a Bellaria squad. What I'm going to do here is damage the enemy, drop Bellaria squad to kill it, drop a defensible position next. Actually, no, I'm going to drop the honor guard, and lastly drop defensible position in order to stun the enemy Warlord. Okay, still 7 points behind, but now I have the board control. It's just flicking back and forth. Miatis Strike Cruiser to wipe out my front line. He still has 5 energy left. Manifest Destiny, that's a good move. Okay, let's see. Attack him, draw a card. Play Invictus Terminators, and followed by defensible position to stun him. And I can now hit him, and he's down to 12 plus 5, 17 health. Ornithop's Barge comes out next, and it's a pretty lame looking barge. Unfortunately, I get an artillery strike. Hooray! So let's do that. Finish off his 1 health guy with my Warlord ability. Artillery strike to remove the remaining front lines. And next, Logos Lectora to buff both my units. And I can attack him and clear out his survivor. So now he's on 5 health, I'm on 9 health, and I've got a tough unit on the board. I could win next turn. Except he's got another Miatis Cruiser, so I go down to 2 health, and he can now use Guilliman's ability and kill that thing, and it's over. Okay, that's fine. I still have 9 health. Not many cards, and that's where I'm starting to suffer.
It was a calculated risk.
So let's try to get a theoretical. Okay, it's a defensible position. This works reasonably okay because I can stun the enemy Warlord and bring in Ekra Trez. And now I can win next turn. By hitting with Ekra Trez on my Warlord, I'll do enough damage to win, except it's a Reckoning.
We. 'Bring the peace. Alright,
he's on 12 health.
Ending.
McCragg's Honor, that will do. Oh my god, that's 11 points of damage from McCragg's Honor and all my attacks together. That is so damn close. Okay, let's take a look here. I can attack him there, get some health back, and use McCragg's Honor on Guilliman to cut him down to 4 health. And that turn is where I lost the game. I should have just attacked him directly, and that would have had him on such low health he couldn't recover, and instead I tried to heal myself and it cost me. I'm drawing a blank now. This is over. Oh yeah, I have nothing to help me.
We are ambushed and outgunned.
Alright. So, hope you found that interesting. Here's that deck list one last time. As I said, I'm pretty confident Aeonid Thiel is now a contender on Mars. I have a gut feel he can work on Terra too. I'll be testing that out later in the course of the month. Here's the list. Why don't you guys go and build a deck around him and give that a go as well, and let me know how it works out for you. Until my next video, bye for now, guys.